All right, I got him. I've got the grades. So before he won the Nobel Prize in Physics, before he found the relationship between mass and energy, before he signed a letter to FDR that indirectly started the United States nuclear program, Einstein was a tiny little high school student who received this report card, which is just chock full of glowing remarks illustrating how his genius was there from the very beginning. Or so you would think. When you take a little bit of a closer look, you might find that the truth is more interesting than you thought. Let's find out how good of a student little Albert really was. To understand this report card, we need to do a few things. First, we need to know how to speak German. Or we can just use Google Translate.
Guten Tag.
Nice. Also, this is very key. Albert Einstein went to school in Aargau. Aargau is this highlighted area in Switzerland, which might be a little bit confusing because wait a second, Albert Einstein was born in Germany. So why is he going to school in Switzerland? The answer to that question is laid out pretty nicely in this article by the American Museum of Natural History. If we scroll down here, we'll see that Albert started his formal education at a Catholic school in Munich. Munich is in Germany. Here is a class photo. Can you find Albert in this class photo? He's right here. Did you get it right? Here he is a little close up. He looks happy, right? Excited to be going to school. Actually, not so much because this place kind of looked like a prison. And apparently Albert thought the same because the article says he wilted under what he called a rigid atmosphere at the school. And at age 15, Einstein decided to educate himself. He dropped out of school and decided that he was just gonna teach himself stuff. Then he tried to get into college, the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, but failed the language and history sections. Einstein failed his college entrance exams. However, on the director's advice, Einstein enrolled in the Swiss secondary school to encourage his free thinking. So the director of the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology is like, Albie, come here. You failed. It's okay. Just go back to high school, but here in Switzerland, we'll nurture that big old brain of yours with some free thinking until it's nice and plump and ready to get into college. Einstein was like, hey, that sounds great. Let's go to school in Switzerland. Now, this is important for us in our interpretation of Einstein's report card because grading in Switzerland is different than academic grading in the United States. Here in the US, we go by this letter system, which goes from A to F depending on what percentage we get on an exam. But the academic grading system in Switzerland is different. It's based on a 6-point grading scale where 1 represents the lowest possible grade and 6 represents the highest possible grade. Here it is right here, and it's hard to kind of, connect this to the system that we use in the US. So I made this handy dandy Swiss US grading system Excel spreadsheet. Here we have the Swiss grade on the left, and here we have the comparative grade you would get in the United States. So for example, if you got like a 4.5 in Switzerland, that would be around a C or a C plus in the United States. Something I like about the Swiss grading system is if you get a 4, it's considered sufficient, and that's a D or D plus or C minus in the United States, which is great because if you get like a D in the US, you might feel like shame from doing poorly, but it's sufficient in Switzerland. So now we can dive into these grades. They're from the year 1896, which is his last year of high school in Switzerland. So the grades we're going to look at are his final exam grades from his senior year in high school. Here's what they look like. I've covered up the numbers for dramatic effect because first we're going to go through the classes that he took over here. So Einstein took German speech and literature, French, English, Italian, history, geography, algebra, geometry, descriptive geometry, physics, chemistry, natural history, and these are 2 art classes right here. So we might expect these all to be 6s, the top grade in the Swiss grading system, but we already have evidence that Einstein didn't really enjoy the system of school that much. He wilted under what he called a rigid atmosphere at the school, and we have quotes from him that point out his distaste for exams specifically. Here's a quote from Einstein about exams that says, "One had to cram all of this stuff into one's mind for the examinations, whether one liked it or not. This coercion had such a deterring effect upon me that after I passed the examination, I found the consideration of any scientific problems distasteful to me for an entire year." Extraordinarily relatable, right? Who takes a chemistry exam, for example, and is like, you know what? That was so much fun. I would just love to sink my teeth into some more chemistry right now. Nobody. So with that in mind, let's reveal these final exam grades. It's a little bit all over the map. We have some 5s, some 3s. We have a nice chunk of 6s right here, but it's kind of hard to remember what specific numerical grades correlate to our letter grades. So let's take this geography, for example. He got a 4. We flip back to our spreadsheet. So he got a 4 in geography, which would be like, we'll say a D+. I translated all these numerical grades to our letter grades, and this is what they look like. We got some Bs. Einstein straight up failed his French final. Terrific. He got a D+ in geography. In all of his math classes and physics, he got A's, 6s, the highest grade. Some B's in chemistry, natural history, and he just really mailed it in his art classes here with 2 D+, which I think is very interesting because oftentimes when we look at someone like Einstein, we falsely assume that they are a genius or incredible across the board, when more often than not, the truth is that experts are only exceptional in their specific area of expertise. Otherwise, they're pretty normal people who can fail a French class. But Charlie, you might say, who cares about French class? It's all croissants, Eiffel Tower. The only thing that matters is crushing your math classes, growing crazy hair, and snatching up those Nobels. Einstein was clearly always great at those things. And to that, I would say, oh, my friend, come here. You haven't seen his college grades yet. And guess what? I have those as well. When we take a look at these, you're going to find that Einstein wasn't always the absolute ace in physics and math like you think he is. Let's take a look. So Einstein graduated from college in the year 1900. And the important thing about that is this says this would be perfect for a part 2. So like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see part 2, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.